You know, as Dr. Harrison says in that wonderful book, Love Your Disease, forgiveness of both the self and the parents, or dropping the past, which is what you're doing, cures more illness than antibiotics ever will. And he also says it takes a lot to stop children from loving their parents. But when they do, it takes even more for them to forgive. And therapy usually revolves around the willingness to forgive. When we won't forgive, when we won't let go, what we're really doing is binding ourselves to the past. And when you're stuck in the past, you cannot live in present time. And if you cannot live in present time, how are you going to create a glorious future? Because this stuff from the past just bounces over and creates more future stuff. Dr. Harrison with Love Your Disease and Bernie Siegel with Love, Medicine, and Miracles are both marvelous people, and I quote them a lot because they're medical doctors who are into the spiritual way of looking at life and truly understand the connection of body, mind, and spirit. And it's interesting, more and more physicians today are becoming open to the body-mind connection. Some of them are adding the body-mind-spirit connection. Not too many of them are vocal or will write books. But when they do, it's great, because often people will not listen to a crazy lady like me. They think I'm just off the wall, which is all right. But then I will recommend either Dr. Harrison or Bernie Siegel, because sometimes they'll listen to a medical doctor. I think it's wonderful the way things are opening up so much right now. This consciousness-raising movement is going all over the planet, in every area of life, every area. You know, I heard something the other day. Robert Schuller from the UN gave a talk in Hollywood at the Directors Guild. And one of the things that he said was that peace is breaking out all over the planet. You know, we hear of wars all the time. He said, peace is breaking out all over the planet. There are pockets of peace, and we are seeing more signs of peace all over than they ever have before. This is the head of the UN. And he also said that the human species needs to believe that peace is possible so that we can have it. See, our consciousness is so important. The power of our minds and the power of our words is vitally important. And we can contribute to the demise of the planet, or we can contribute to the healing of the planet. And we seem to be in extraordinary camps at the moment. I mean, there's a lot of violence going, a lot of drug abuse, a lot of chaos, a lot of unemployment and poverty. And yet there's this incredible expanding of consciousness where people, many hundreds of thousands of people all over the planet are learning that they have the power to change their lives, and they're learning about what their minds can do, and it's wonderful. Somebody came up to me and was speaking to me just this evening about translating my book into Lebanese. No, it's wonderful. Things are happening everywhere. We think, oh, it's just happening here, or it's just happening in the church. It's not true. It's going all over the place. Therapy revolves around the willingness to forgive, the willingness to stop giving my power to them back there and accepting my own power in the here and now, making my word important rather than their word. I'm the only person that can think in my mind, just like you're the only person that can think in your mind. And nobody can force us to think in a different way. We choose our thoughts, and these are the basis for our self-talk. But anyway, I gradually lived more of what I was teaching, and I really watched my words and my thoughts. And I constantly forgave myself for not being perfect. I allowed myself to be, rather than struggling to be super person so I could be acceptable for one day. And I began for the first time to trust life and to see it as a friendly place. And I remember I lightened up, and my humor became less biting and funnier. And I worked on releasing criticism and judgment of myself and of other people. And I stopped telling disaster stories. I guess no one else here has ever done that. You know, we're so quick to spread the bad news. It's just amazing. And I stopped reading the newspaper, and I stopped listening to the news, and I gave up the 11 o'clock news at night. I said, I will not take that into my dream state with me. And then I did a biggie. I decided to stop gossiping. And I found I had nothing to say to anyone for 3 weeks. Until I learned there were other ways of talking. It wasn't an easy habit to break. But if I would be gossiping about other people, then people would be gossiping about me, wouldn't they? Remember, what we give out, we get back. Now, I also discovered mirror work. And I did daily sessions in front of the mirror. And the most difficult, of course, was to say to myself, I love you, I really love you. It took a lot of tears and a lot of breathing to get through that one. But when I did, it was like a jump had taken place. But most of all, I was really consistent with what I did. I practiced all my waking hours. You know, there are many, many people who will say a prayer in the morning or do an affirmation or treatment or meditate, and then they leave the house and jump in the car and start screaming at people. 5 or 10 minutes or 20 minutes in the morning is wonderful, and you get better results if you can be consistent all day long. I thanked myself before I went to sleep. I thanked myself for what I had done during the day and knowing that I had done the best I could. And I affirmed that the healing process was taking place in my body while I slept, and that I'd awaken in the morning bright and refreshed and feeling good. And in the morning I'd awaken and I'd thank everything I could think of, including myself and my body. And I'd know and affirm that this day would be a joy and a delight, and that I was willing to learn and to grow and to change. And I learned also that I could make changes without seeing myself as a bad person. See, too many of us, we have to be wrong or bad in order to make a change. That's why we criticize ourselves so much. We think it's going to make a change, but it doesn't. When we can come from loving acceptance, then the changes come much easier. And we make a change because we want to improve the quality of our life, not because we're a bad person who has to be better. And it's a different way of looking at it.